Have you heard about the iconic snacks from state to state in the 70s? We're mapping out the must-tries from a delicious decade. With moon pies soaring high and cheese curds cozy in the basket, let's launch into snack heaven. Marshmallow fluff and sweet milk chocolate made moon pies a snack that people in Alabama just could not let go. Some people would spice theirs up with graham crackers, and the dark chocolate sauce was simply to die for. School kids, particularly teenagers, would always have a couple of packs of moon pies as they were bus ride comfort food. Salmon is such a widely caught fish in Alaska that salmon beef jerky should barely come as a surprise. Eggs, salmon beef jerky with a side of toast, was a cheap and common breakfast in diners and pubs in the state in the 70s. People would often have slices of beef jerky and use it in other dishes too, like casseroles or meatloafs. Arizona would eventually borrow from Tex-Mex cuisine when chimichangas started becoming a regular sight at almost any Latin American restaurant. Fusion joints or roadside stalls, everyone would be selling some kind of chimichanga, which is a deep-fried burrito. Filled with green veggies and sauces, 6 out of 10 people in the street would pick one up on their way to work in the 70s. Deep frying things and vegetables would not stop at just that, because in Arkansas, fried pickles were the new mood of the week in the 70s. Just plain dill pickles that would be battered. Then deep fried, you could get baskets of these in food streets or in family gatherings as a side dish. Kind of something that hit its peak back in those ages, but it was pretty delicious. Stepping away from the fryer and looking more into the drier side of food, trail mixes were a Californian favorite, and they were just a mix of different dry fruits. Almonds, raisins, dates, and pecan or pumpkin seeds you could customize to your heart's desire. Easy to see why something with so much potential for personalization became so popular in a decade all about experimentation. If you're from Colorado and a baseball fan, you might remember Rocky Mountain oysters, which are a lot more questionable than they sound. Essentially, these are the testicles of bulls, which have been skinned, coated in flour and batter, and deep fried. As an appetizer, they were common at baseball games in the state, but it was a relatively local favorite that did not see much love in other places, even in the 70s. For more in-the-box food that is not as out there as Rocky oysters, let's have some snickerdoodles. Coated with cinnamon and the type to crumble wonderfully in your mouth, these were really popular cookies in Connecticut. Platters of these for some weeknight baking would make for some very wonderful confectionaries in the 70s. Boardwalk fries are actually another platter-filling item that was the primary cause for people's metabolism skyrocketing back in the 70s. Boardwalk fries were not typically cooked like just any old basket of fries. These were dipped in vinegar and cold water before being fried twice in the fryer, resulting in what was an extremely soft yet very crispy fry people would always get with their burger. The pie itself did so well in family celebrations and bakeries that people came up with key lime pie bites, which were just bite-sized variants of the delicious dessert. Amazing as appetizers and amazing as snacks for sweet tooths, people would forget their civil sides around a fresh plate of these. Cobbler had already been popular enough in Atlanta, so it would be natural that, like key lime, peach cobbler bites would become a thing too. Definitely popular in African American communities, as these were an affordable and easy way to have something nice at cookouts. Kids may not have particularly liked them, but adults in their 30s went head over heels for the bites. Another one that had a head start in its state and an established presence was Spam in Hawaii, so Spam musubi was a natural evolution. Japanese American restaurants would typically go the extra mile with wrapping it all on a block of rice with nori. Most people would have grilled Spam on their own, but this bite-sized version, which completes our trinity, was easily the best. Idaho likes to keep it simple, like Hawaii, which is pretty respectable because for them, just potato skins with bacon and cream was the real American dream. Nothing more, nothing less. These light and appetizing potato skins were so popular in the 70s that kids ate almost nothing else. You have heard of caramel popcorn with regular salted popcorn, but Chicago mix popcorn, which you can find anywhere in Illinois, takes it up a notch. Cheddar cheese and caramel popcorn mixed together made for some loud theaters because people could not stop munching. Maybe just a bit too savory, those kinds of flavors did do well in the 1970s. Continuing the trend of mini-sized food, on this list breaded tenderloin sliders were these tiny bite-sized pork sandwiches that you could have at events or parties. Tenderloin sandwiches already did so well in Indiana, and it was an adored 2 p.m. lunch for young adults. In terms of accessibility, this made an already loved sandwich much easier to eat. Who can ever say no to corn, especially roasted corn kernel? Corn nuts would be very popular whenever it was harvest time in Iowa, and for kids these would be a great snack to make the school bus easier. Available in street stalls around the corners or in packets and cans, they proved that Iowa is one state very serious about its corn. From a state that loves barbecue pork ribs, has its own Kansas-style barbecue, it is no surprise that Kansas adores barbecue corn chips, essentially just corn-flavored chips that have a gracious amount of barbecue seasoning sprinkled onto them. These were the definition of munchies. 1970. Kansas saw such a spike in popularity for these that store shelves would often be empty. You might have heard of Kentucky bourbon before, but brace your ears for bourbon balls. Coated in dark chocolate and filled with nuts and other crunchy ingredients, this would use half a cup of bourbon. Not one to keep around the children, but for people who did eat it, a typical 24-ball serving was the difference between a comforting movie night and being bored on a Saturday. Donuts and America are such a classic pairing that it is a no-brainer why Louisiana loves its beignets. Deep-fried donuts that would be caked in cinnamon or other lovely toppings, it was the donut of every sweet lover's eye. Also, maybe the bane of doctors who were sick of dealing with metabolism issues. Kids definitely were very pro-beignets and would devour these up anytime they found them. You have heard of moon pies. Now get ready for whoopie pies, which are similar to Spam musubi in concept, actually. Maine would love the cream filling in the center sandwiched between two fluffy cookies that resembled mini chocolate cakes. Perfect for when you needed a hit to the brain to get it working or just felt like indulging in some gluttony. You might be able to sue crab chips for false advertising, because on one hand they do taste delicious, but on the other they do not have any crab in them. Maryland Old Bay seasoning, which is commonly associated with crab dishes, is what these potato chips are covered in. Whatever it is, it works, and it works too good, because these things were mouth-watering, crunchy, and just the right amount of tangy. Boston Baked Beans candy, just like crab chips, specializes in being easy to consume and make in bulk. Originally starting out in Massachusetts as peanuts that were coated in candy, which gave them a sweet crunch, they got popular enough to get packaged variants. Grocery stores would be filled with two things: kids and frustrated parents trying to haggle with them for one packet less in the 70s. Another one for the mini munchie sublist on our top 20 so far is cherry hand pies, which Michigan locals just could not get enough of. Beautifully soft, portable, and filled with tart inside. These made for the perfect baked goodie to show off to your friends or enjoy on your own. People had different takes on the dish, which goes to show how frequently it was made in homes back then. Borrowing a bit from Norwegian cuisine, lefse is a traditional flatbread that has riced potatoes, which Americans would typically eat as a wrap if in a hurry or enjoy it slowly. Versatile and full of potential for experimenting, this dish made it to home chef kitchens a lot, especially in Minnesota, where people were always showing off their new idea of a lefse. Catfish is widely available in the USA. Nuggets and America do not need introducing, so fried chicken nuggets was a bound-to-happen cultural moment for USA's foodie history. Breaded and fried to perfection, these crispy nuggets were the perfect thing to grab from the drive-by out with your friends or great takeout for a movie night at home for young adults. Italian-American restaurants loved featuring ravioli, so taking it a step beyond to test the waters with toasted ravioli seemed like the next logical move. Missouri is at least glad they ever considered doing it, because when we say these were a hit, believe us, it is an understatement. Great for brunches in particular, these had a death grip on the cafe scene in the state. Huckleberry jam gets its love in Montana due to a regional privilege people there enjoy, which is the best huckleberries anywhere in the USA. Laying the groundwork for some incredibly amazing jam, Montana residents take full advantage with a spread that goes on literally anything you can think of. Toast, sandwiches, and crepes, Huckleberry jam adds the perfect X factor to anything you put it on. Runza bites are another addition in the trend of bite-sized food, which is a smaller, more portable, and affordable version of the original Runza sandwich. Nebraska locals have a long-standing love for the sandwich, so bites for when they cannot handle a full one makes sense. Savory bites and the perfect blend of meat, dressing with bread made for a great lunch that kids can fondly remember. Shrimp cocktail would be sensational cooked shrimp that you would often find served with a tomato juice cocktail and cilantro, some garlic and other basic herbs made for a very savory and tangy dish that added that perfect balance of low-key flavors, which made it a popular choice for 30-somethings on vacation in Nevada. We are not done with donuts on this list yet, as apple cider donuts prove that whatever the state there is always a market for donuts in the nation. Freshly made donuts right out of the oven sprinkled with apple cider made Sweet Tooths in New Hampshire go absolutely crazy. Out for a stroll with your partner or simply treating yourself after work or the gym, an apple cider donut was in season and a welcome fan favorite. New Jersey is known for its love of fried and street food, and while disco fries strike a more bombastic image in the mind, these are just fries with gravy, cheese, and sauce. However, sometimes that really is all you need with a side of fried chicken or a burger. Popular at baseball games or night outs on the town for people of all ages, they were a 70s classic. Green chili stew is a certified MVP in New Mexico cuisine, and green chili stew cups were only the next logical progression since everything else is getting mini versions. Perfectly balanced between soupy and sour while being tangy and spicy, these mini cups would be a reliable option for stalls to roll out in early rush hours or weekdays, and they definitely sold well. Whether you have seen them in Sex and the City or Castle, a New Yorker getting a soft pretzel to go with their coffee or muffin is an experience we are sure everyone relates to. Pretzels are crunchy, sweet, and filling all in one, which makes them an affordable snack to go for when you want more than a mini bite of something but less than a meal. Sweet potato chips are something kids would be selling at stadiums for football games, or grocery stores would have sales or promotions on like buy one get ones. Potato chips are a delicacy enjoyed around the world and may be the holy grail of snacks, especially in North Carolina. Here in the 70s, people particularly favor thinly sliced ones that break apart like a cracker. Nufla soup would make heads turn in North Dakota because this soup had something for everything. Chicken, dumplings, potatoes, and other kinds of vegetables made for one melting pot, literally, of different flavors that was a savory lover's dream. Popularly served at vegan restaurants or just as an appetizer or starter at fine dining places in the 70s, it was an icon of its times. Buckeyes in concept are not too different from mountain oysters because they are just peanut butter fudge balls that have been dipped in chocolate. Taste-wise, though, you can put them on the opposite end of the spectrum. Regardless, Ohio has a deep-seated fondness for these. Giving you just the right hit of peanut butter along with chocolate, which no one has ever complained about as far as dippings go, it is not hard to see why this was so popular. Maybe we have had enough fast food and extra desserts, taking a dip into the healthy side of things. We have fried okra in restaurants in Oklahoma, which is actually one of the only vegetables in Oklahoma's official meal. All right, frying it might not exactly be the healthiest kind of thing, but as far as soul food culture and cuisines go, this takes the cake. Many communities that loved soul food would always have a fried okra plate in the fridge. Marionberry pie bites are the middle ground that created a lasting peace between blackberry enthusiasts and tart diehards. Marionberry has the flavors of both, and that is what makes it really adaptable palate-wise. Anybody could really enjoy this no matter their age or whether they were millennials or Generation Z. Bakeries always at least had some kind of Marionberry pie bites in store at any given day. You might question, what is the difference between soft pretzels here and the ones in New York? Pennsylvania really likes to add a generous serving of mustard, and theirs are pretty much size XL pretzels. Now, this combo might be new to a lot of you, however, and while the ones you might find in New York crack apart easily, these are rather chewy, so kids love them. Clam cake dominates the New England cuisine in the Rhode Island culinary scene, and many adults fondly gobble these dough balls up. Summers would not be complete at Rhode Island without a serving of this at any party or sunbathing session, along with some chowder to go with it. people who would go on ferry rides to enjoy the summer breeze would always have these with some wine. This is one for the barbecue lovers who just need something on a skewer because chislic fits that definition to a T. Usually, you will find mutton or lamb on the skewer, but even beefsteak is used, and this dish is most popular in the neighborhoods and restaurant avenues of South Dakota. March 2018 saw it becoming the official food of the state. Definitely a great choice for Saturday night out with your friends. Goo Goo clusters paint a picture of sweet marshmallows with maybe some chocolate or caramel, right? That image is almost spot on because this is a heavenly mix of peanuts, marshmallow, nougat, and caramel all drenched in chocolate. Addictive and mouth-wateringly irresistible, any Tennessee Thanksgiving or Christmas would not be complete without a plate of these for the kids. Chili con queso and a fresh basket of crisp tortilla chips at a local authentic Tex-Mex restaurant was the perfect evening snack in the 1970s for Texans. Summer enjoyment may have peaked with this and a DVD of A Race with the Devil. Little room was left for any other dips, at least for tortilla chips, because queso was just in a league of its own, especially for university students. Utah has some pretty questionable fusion food choices, and green Jell-O with carrots is just the tip of that iceberg. Luckily, the tip is where we are stopping for now, and no, there is no saving grace because it is exactly what it sounds like. Diced carrots dipped in lime Jell-O gave some sort of flavor and sensory satisfaction to people in Utah. But for the life of us, we cannot figure it out. Maybe if you have ever had it, you can share the secret behind the hype below? Maple syrup has been used as a topping for pies, pancakes, and just about every kind of dessert out there, so maple syrup candy is no surprise, especially in Vermont. Vermont, you see, has a very dense market for maple syrup. It is packed with people just waiting to add that flavor to anything they are having. Maple syrup candy was something kids just could not quit, and something parents really had to control because of how easy starting a habit was. African-American restaurants made peanut soup a very popular staple of Virginia for many reasons. Affordability and versatility were both something it was great at. You could add just about any kind of dry fruit or ingredients to the soup to make it better. Grandmas would affectionately make bowls for their nieces and nephews on weekends. Joints in Virginia still have it as an appetizer along with bread and rice. Smoked salmon dip was something home chefs in Washington loved dearly because it took around 5 to 10 minutes to make, and you would have a very thick, rich, and creamy dip to go with capers or chips. Working out great as a movie night snack or for game night, this was a phenomena in the state. West Virginia cannot get enough of pepperoni, and having it on pizza was not enough because pepperoni rolls took the state by storm. Wraps filled with pepperoni slices, cheese, or different sauces and vegetables, say no more. Pepperoni slices would be thin, but generous servings were fit into the wraps to make for a filling meal you could get for takeout. Cheese curds outside of Wisconsin would typically just be pasteurized milk and cheddar cheese, but in the state it takes on a much heartier form. Beer battered and usually deep-fried, served with ketchup or chili garlic dip, this was a great, irresistible snack. Ticking every flavor note it needed to it, many Wisconsin locals have grown up on fried cheese curds and rental movies. Bison jerky makes sense for Wisconsin because bison itself is one of the most beloved meats in the state. You have to be familiar with Americans making jerky out of any meat they can find, but bison jerky stuck out from the crowd in its flavor. Smoky, savory, but soft and tender, it was a unique sensation and taste that kept people coming back for more each breakfast. Snacks come and go, but the 1970s was blessed with some great foods. Did you find any snacks you had not heard of before? Give us a like and subscribe for more.